You think you understand the world map? But this single map has been lying to you your entire life. And once you see why, you'll never look at maps the same way again. The big map lie. The world is far stranger than you've been taught. Especially this map. The one you've seen in classrooms, offices, and textbooks everywhere. It looks official, it looks scientific, but it's actually wildly inaccurate. You already know the Earth is a sphere, and that means something important. You cannot flatten a globe onto a rectangle without breaking reality. This map is called the Mercator projection, and while it's useful for navigation, it completely destroys our sense of size. And to prove that, we're going to use one of the most boring places on Earth.
Let's take Wyoming, a perfect square. Simple, clean, predictable. Now imagine stacking copies of Wyoming upward on the map. As it moves closer to the North Pole, something strange happens. It stretches, it inflates, it barely even looks like Wyoming anymore. But slide that same Wyoming south toward the equator, and suddenly, it gets compressed and squished. This distortion doesn't just affect Wyoming, it affects everything on Earth. Rehook. And now that you understand that trick, let's talk about size myths. You probably believe, right? Texas, Alaska, and Europe. You've heard the saying, everything is bigger in Texas, but bigger than what exactly? Move Texas over Europe, and suddenly Spain and Portugal disappear underneath it. Even France doesn't survive the comparison. And remember, Texas isn't even the biggest US state. That title belongs to Alaska. Up here it looks absolutely monstrous, but drag Alaska down to the mainland, or over to Europe, and you realize it's big, just not that big. Rehook. And Europe? Europe might be the biggest illusion of all.
Europe and the UK illusion. Europe feels massive on most maps, but that's not reality. That's projection bias. Take France and drop it into Africa. Instantly it feels smaller. The UK looks large too, until you compare it properly. Japan is bigger, so is the Philippines, Madagascar, New Zealand. Put the UK next to Australia, and it almost disappears. Rehook. Speaking of Australia, this is where things get crazy. Australia is far larger than most people imagine. In fact, it can cover nearly the entire continental United States. And here's the wild part. Even when you combine dozens of European countries, they still can't match Australia's footprint. Portugal, Germany, France, Italy, Spain. All together, still not enough. But Australia isn't even the most misunderstood giant.
Canada looks enormous, and it is, but it's actually very similar in size to China. Move Canada over Europe, and suddenly it stretches from Portugal to Iran. Japan is another surprise. Place it along the US East Coast, and it's much larger than most people expect. But now we're heading to a country so big it breaks your mental map.
Brazil doesn't look that impressive on the map, until you move it. Brazil is bigger than Australia, nearly as large as the United States, and it fits shockingly well inside Africa. And Africa. Africa is massive. You can fit the US, China, India, Western Europe, and still have room left. This is the continent the Mercator projection shrinks the most. And even the biggest country on Earth isn't immune to this illusion.
Russia, Greenland, and Belgium. Russia looks unbeatable at the top of the map, but move it south, and its dominance fades. Belgium once ruled the Congo, but side by side, Belgium is barely visible. And then there's Greenland, the biggest map lie of them all. It looks like a continent, bigger than Australia, rivaling North America. But on a globe, Greenland shrinks into what it truly is, a large island. And we haven't even reached the most ignored continent yet. Antarctica hides at the bottom of the map, quietly underestimated. But it's enormous. Bigger than Australia. stretching across distances that span continents. It can reach from Texas to northern Canada, from Eastern Europe deep into Africa. Antarctica isn't small, it's just hidden. And now that you've seen all this, your world map will never feel normal again.
The truth is simple. The world is both bigger and smaller than you were taught. Comment below, what shocked you the most? Or tell us another map fact you already knew. You can explore these distortions yourself at thetruesize.com. And if this changed how you see the world, subscribe to Map Facts Zone for more real geography, real sizes, and real map truths. Because maps don't just show the world, they shape how you understand it.